Basically, guys, I just thought that, we haven't had a press conference since the Cotton Bowl. Just wanted to run through certain things and maybe ask questions relative to the subject that we're going to just talk about, and just sort of go through the process. Also, I obviously want to introduce our new guys, and that's probably the biggest point of emphasis for having this press conference today, and then also just basically talk about the program in general, where it's at right now. So with that being said, I thought first just address the Cotton Bowl, just sort of conclude that. We had a staff meeting, sort of a closure meeting on that a week ago past Monday, and rewatched the film as a staff and went through different things. Tremendous experience for our football team going down there. First time opportunity to do something like that, and you learn from those opportunities. So while you look at the football game, I thought we played competitively in the first half. The third quarter sort of hit us, and things started happening. So we got to be able to regain our composure and make plays towards the end of the second half. And the bottom line, I don't think we ever really got out of on track really, other than that one drive at the end of the first half offensively. Not enough explosive plays down the field. I think we had two truly explosive plays in the game. Defensively, played pretty well against the run, gave up a couple big plays versus the pass. And as I said, going into that football game, we had to be who we are. We can't change and be somebody we're not, in 26 days. So you have to, I think, emphasize who we are, do what we do, and do it best, and bring what we have to the table. And with that being said, we need to be at our best on that given night, and I don't think we played our best. But congratulate Alabama and what they will accomplish, and also their national championship. And I'll just take some questions based on the Cotton Bowl, and we move to the next subject. So that's where we're at.
Mark, you just mentioned you can't change who you are. That said, looking back after you met with the staff, was there anything you would do differently game plan-wise on either side of the ball in that game if you had a chance?
Yeah, I think that, from an offensive standpoint, we needed to get the ball on the perimeter more often. Find different ways to be able to do that. The quarterback's got to create a little bit more. You saw that in the championship game, and for whatever reason, we didn't get that. But that's not a knock on Connor Cook. He's played tremendous. But I think you guys got to get out of trouble. They have a good football team, as you guys can see that, and very, very good up front. And so we didn't displace them up front enough to give our running backs creases. So consequently, I think that we got to get on the edge and get out there a little bit, and we were unable to do that. So they were able to play pretty much. They were able to protect their back end and then play well up front. The linebackers made plays, etc. But I'd say that's the thing we have to do. Other than that, the big play of the game may be two big plays in the game to me, because we're competitive in the game. The punt return certainly got to cover better. Out-punted our coverage again, so you got to look at structure a little bit there in terms of what we do, because that's, when you got a guy that can hit it 55 yards, that's going to happen. So when the ball's coming back at you at a fast speed, you got to come under control and make it. And missed a couple tackles on that one. And then that first drive out in the third quarter, we had two hands to the face calls. Not going to complain about the officiating, but subjective at best. So that's 30 yards down the field, and on one of them was a third down on a third down situation. You go back and you look at third down in the first half, on third and I think it was 3rd and 8. Maybe if we stopped them there with 6 minutes to go, soft coverage, don't get home on the blitz. We got 2-on-1 on the linebacker. Linebacker slow to get there, and we don't make it. We don't create a problem for the quarterback. So, and I can go on, as my wife tells me, let it go. Just let it go. Okay, so.
Mark, the only thing offensively you had success with was when you went up-tempo, and obviously Connor threw the interception. Yeah. But after the game, Alabama talked about that was a great concern of them. You guys never went back to it, including in the fourth quarter, running down 30. I'm curious why you didn't go back to it.
Well, I think that we did that initially in the game, and then we didn't go back to it basically because I told Coach Warner, hey, we need to slow it down a little bit. Because at that point in time, we weren't playing well defensively either. And, we went three times in the third quarter, 3 and out. And when you flip it like that, if you're going fast, and we went fast-paced in the third quarter one time maybe twice, but we went 3 and out. So, that's only good if you're making plays. And so consequently, we needed to slow the game down and try and get ourselves back in the game and then have a drive and then move from there. That last touchdown, I feel like it's on me. I sort of, that last touchdown, we should have probably went for it on 4th and 1 from the 20. I lost my composure, so we didn't go in that direction. But I thought we did some good things in the game. Very competitive game in the first half, but you got to play consistently throughout the game. Great experience for us, a place we hadn't been, and a place we hope to go in the future. But there are only 4 teams that got to that moment in this country, and we were one of those football teams, and I think we deserved to be there. So that was a positive for us, and we got to build on it. But I think Alabama, after the fact, after I hear the way that they approach the game as opposed to we approach the game, we know how to win bowl games. But that's what we've done. We've not been in that environment. We've not been in that media-type environment. We spent 2 hours on a bus going back and forth, 2 different times to media day. There and back, half hour, go back to the hotel meetings, there and back, half hour. The luncheon the day before the game was a 2-hour ordeal, back and forth. We had an 8 o'clock picture. We had pictures at some point in time. So, again, back and forth, and I think we got a little out of sorts. We were going to have to be at our best, as I've said earlier, and for whatever reason, we were not. And you have to take that into context with the whole thing. But, again, with that being said, Alabama's got a tremendous football team, and they certainly deserve the opportunity to go play in that national championship game. So, not whining about it, just stating where we were at.
Coach, I got kind of a scheme question as far as when Alabama moved Ridley into the slot. And
yeah.
I know Cox had great coverage on the first
Yeah.
50-yarder, but that's probably something you'll see a lot when you stay in a 4-3 personnel against 3 wide. Is that something that adjusts, or could that have been played any differently by your safety?
2 things. One, we track everything imaginable. So he was in the slot 38 times during the season. Okay? So we knew exactly when he went into the slot and how many times he threw to him and how many big plays that were there with that. With that being said, we knew that when they drag the ball or they play action it to the Heisman Trophy winner who has 2,000 yards rushing, you're in a catch-22 situation. You're in a little bit of a dilemma because you got to get your backer into the box. So when he was in the slot, we had a game plan where we would go to a specific different things, one of which was blitz him. To give us middle of the field coverage, to give us a rerouter on number 2, on Ridley. But they started doing that more often than not. Initially in the game, 8 out of the first 16 plays, they went to Ridley, where they were quick screens. The first 3 or 4 plays, they put the ball in Ridley's hands. So they made us soft on the edges a little bit, put us in situations where I felt like we were blitzing too much, so we had to stop doing that because we were just doing it too much, too often. At least that was my semblance of it. When I go back and research the whole game, 7.5 times, 7.5. Okay, he was in the slot during our games. Okay, so played great coverage on the first one. There's some people out there that think maybe the ball came out on the first one. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Very hard to tell. He ruled it a catch, but he made a great catch, great throw. The second one, no pressure. The defensive end counters inside, gets pushed past the other defensive end, which is not good. Quarterback moves to his right, and he finds the guy going away from our safety. Again, no reroute, though, no restart by our secondary, by our outside backer, Joe Bocci. Okay? So those things happen because of the run-pass conflict. But that's what they've done throughout the season. That's what, and we had different ways to double them and things of that nature, but that was on a 3rd down situation, and that particular play was 1st down. So, yeah, there's a lot to be said for the thinking on that. We rethought that over and over, and that was a big part of what we were going to have to do to be able to stop the explosive play from Alabama on the passing game to Ridley.
You mentioned being out of sorts or losing your composure at times during the game. Was the moment
Yeah, I had a headache after the game.
more overwhelming or bigger than you anticipated? And if so, what would you do differently next year if you get back there in the future?
I think I don't know. Just, from my perspective, I felt a little out of sorts. Okay, I don't know if that's lack of composure or just out of sorts. I thought we went into the game, and I thought our football team was confident that we would play. But we needed to have some things happen early in the process. We crossed the 50 a couple times in the first half, I think 3. On the first series, first drive, we crossed the 50 that we had, I believe. I think Felton Davis made a catch, or maybe that was the second drive. But then we got to finish the drive. We got to do something with it. Michael Geiger didn't take a snap in that game. Put that in perspective. So those are things that we have to be able to do, and against a great defense, and they're a great defense. They got good players. We got to make plays, and a lot of it falls, to leadership, to myself, to play calling, to the quarterback, to our seniors. It all falls to those guys, and somehow, some way, we have to find a way. And we found a way 12 times this year, but against that, on that night, specific night, against that specific football team, we did not. And I thought we played pretty well defensively, but I think we got to pressure the quarterback better. So didn't have and then you got some different things happening, like we forced a fumble. There it goes on the sack. We forced a fumble. Instead of coming up with the ball, it gets kicked out of bounds. Guy drops the punt. The defender is supposed to stop on a fair catch right in front of him, and it'd be right in his hands, but he runs by him. So little things like that. It's the inches, and then there's some different things that happen that, quite frankly, you just can't you can't expect sometimes. This is the way the football goes. But again, you go back and look at the whole big picture, and you say Alabama was ready to play that football game. They played very well. They have very good players, and quarterback's 25 out of 30. So he played well.
Mark, I'm getting Twitter responses. Why are you making us relive this from fans? So I'll advance the storyline a little bit.
My wife would say, "Don't tweet it out," but this is part of the deal.
Yeah.
Because we didn't talk about it before, and I think that you got to have closure. So I've got to have some closure too.
No, I think
you guys have to have it too.
They're talking to us. Why are we tweeting? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't understand why you tweet it.
So I'll advance the storyline here a little bit. You've got 8 early enrollees. That's a lot, and the advantage of having them and some big names in that in the recruiting world, the advantage of having them here early and what that does for their prospects of contributing early.
Yeah, next segment. Okay, we've got 8 guys coming in, 7 scholarship guys coming in. They're extremely highly recruited guys, and we expect for them to have an immediate impact on our football team with their opportunities to transition now. So academically, they're going to transition, socially transition, and then football-wise, they're going to be able to transition. So with that's going to come some bumps in the road and some problems that they're going to have to navigate through. But at the end of the day, they're going to be much farther ahead than a normal freshman when they come in July. When you look at it, you got 2 wide receivers coming in here, Donnie Corley, Cam Chambers, both guys tremendously gifted players, highly recruited players, guys that we expect to step on the field immediately for us. They'll be in the thick of it from day one, right from day one, and we will build our offenses around these guys as their time here increases over the course of years. But I could speak to each of these guys. I saw them both play in camp. Snatch the ball out of the air, great eye-hand coordination, big, physical, tough. Both guys compete. Donnie Corley plays defensive back and corner as well, and we played him in camp. He'll be a guy that can play on both sides of the ball. He's got to play wide receiver first to learn that position, but I think he can transition over to corner, and we can play him situationally, and we plan to do that. Cam Chambers is a guy that play the X. Donnie will start at Z. And Cam's a big-bodied wide receiver, great speed, and another guy who just snatches the ball out of the air. And both these guys have very high expectations, and they played at the highest level in the U.S. Army game and competed at the highest level and has done very, 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 very well. I think they both come from great programs in King High School, and then Cam comes from New Jersey as well. So both high schools, outstanding, Timber Creek, outstanding players, very well-coached players, and their parents have brought them along and have gotten them ready for this situation. So the linebacker Joe Bocci comes in from Mid-Park, which is Berea, Ohio, Cleveland suburb. And Joe is a linebacker, very physical guy, performed very well in camp. All these guys ran extremely well and were gifted athletically in camp, big numbers in camp. Joe showed great flexibility, ran 4.5 something, long jump very well, as did the other two wideouts. And he was all conference in basketball, in a great basketball conference there. Obviously all conference and all state in football. You guys know, you can see what he's done. But played full tailback for them, was a punt returner for them, a shortstop in baseball. So we've got an all-around athlete. And so he'll enter the picture at the Mike position, and that's a position that takes time to learn. But this opportunity in the spring will give him a lot of advantages to sort of move forward pretty quickly. I got to look over there. Theo Lucusa from Traverse City West, and then Bergen Catholic. Outstanding offensive lineman. We got to know Theo when he was a 9th grader. We offered him a scholarship between his 9th grade and his 10th grade year, I believe. Very athletic, big, physical guy. You know, when I've watched him do things in camp, when I've watched him do things on the basketball court, great feet. All these guys are outstanding students, but great feet. And again, offensive line is not something that you learn overnight. You've got to be able to take that and build on things. So, again, having him here for the spring will give him a tremendous advantage. Probably could play tackle athletically, probably could play guard athletically, certainly at the pool and do things like that. Could really run, as an outstanding athlete. Will be a great player as well. Kenny Lake, safety, played a lot of offense this year. Will bone you up. Okay, he is a hitter. Will get underneath his pads. Will strike you. Great ball skills. Plays offensive receiver and tailback as well this year. They used him a lot offensively. But a big hitter, can really run. All these guys have great size for their respective positions. They tower over Coach Dantonio. All right, but another guy with I think a great upside and will bring immediate opportunities at safety in our secondary. Great ball skills, hitter, guy we've offered a long time ago. Messiah DeWeaver, quarterback from Dayton Wayne High School. Messiah committed early in the process to us and has maintained that commitment throughout. Outstanding leader. Took Dayton Wayne High School in his senior year to the state championship game, to the finals of this big school state championship game in Ohio. Outstanding performer. Has a gift. Was in camp. Great ball. Great touch on the ball. Can throw you open. Great strength, velocity on the ball. Both our receivers had opportunities to catch from him already, probably this week. But again, quarterback is a position where a lot of things going on. You got to not only play the game, but you also have to develop your leadership as a person. So having him here for an additional semester early on gives him an outstanding advantage to compete. And we expect our guys, all these guys, to compete immediately in this process. So I think he'll do an outstanding job as well. But great numbers, great size, strength, great student as well. Almost a 4-point student. So all these guys are outstanding people. Moofy Hunt, Salt Lake City. Moofy signed with us last year, came off his mission because of a knee injury. So rather than restart that, he's in rehab with his knee injury. So he will enroll now. He's gained about 25 pounds since we've offered him. So he's about 250 pounds already, and he's just starting. So very athletic defensive end, explosive, big body guy, played basketball, power forward in high school as well. One of the top players in the West, one of the top players in Utah, highly recruited guy as well, and he'll have an opportunity to start and get healthy, transition. Again, a lot of this is about transition. So most players we've had come in since the most we've ever had before was 3 come in early. Brad Robinson, I don't know if Brad's in here. He's a long snapper, and he's entered as well, and he's a very outstanding long snapper, so we're excited to have him here, and he will earn his way, but there's opportunity with Tabor Pepper leaving. There's opportunity, and he's ranked, I think, number 20 in the nation by Rubio as one of the top long snappers in the country. So we have an opportunity to get involved very, very quickly. And I think that's our guys. But very exciting, and 7 of them are scholarship guys, one of them here. And, you've got a core of your class already here, so they can start to identify themselves in this class and build a rapport with each other, and ensure you guys have an opportunity to meet and talk with them a little bit. Questions?
Mark, since we've moved on from the Cotton Bowl, I have 2 questions. I'll ask them one at a time. I know you don't like them twice.
Yeah.
In 2013, halfway through, you did alter the offense, and you guys became, that second half, one of the best offenses in the country. 2014, same thing. You were number 6 in the country. This year, back to the mid-60s. I know you said you can't change in 28 days, but do you have to look at philosophically your offense to more of what you did the second half of 13 and all of 14?
Yeah, I think you got to look at everything that you do and critique it, and look at other people, what they're doing, and always advance, and always critique what you've got, and always move forward as a football team. So we do that, and we look at things A to Z. Our offensive coaches will watch every single snap of what our defensive coaches saw this year. Every single game that our defensive coaches saw, they will watch. So we're going to make sure that we look at everything. Then you have to use your personnel, and you have to, at some point in time, you have to also stay balanced, and you have to do what you do. We're a tailback-oriented offense. We use our wide receivers. We had the wide receiver of the year in the Big Ten Conference who caught 80 balls and 1,200 yards. Okay? We lost a couple guys from the year before. We're a little thin. Probably didn't play as many wideouts as we had the year before, and now we have a new cycle of wideouts that will come in. We have 2 other guys that are committed. They're excellent as well, and I expect all 4 of these guys, especially these 2 guys, to get involved very, very quickly. But you lose to Jeremy Langford, which is a speed guy who had a lot of eye-popping big plays. We didn't have that. We had the Le'Veon Bell-type runner, downhill runner, breaking tackles, and I thought all 3 of those guys had their moments, did an outstanding job. But we did not have that dynamic edge guy. Now, can these guys become those edge guys? We're going to wait and see. I think they can. I think let's see, Madre London showed some areas of that. The other guys are downhill, make you miss, in the hole, vertical guys. But Langford was a guy that could do a little bit of both, and I think that he was extremely, first of all, he was experienced. He had 3 years before he was 3.5 years in before he started his breakout. And you see what he's done with the Bears. So our players this year, we had a redshirt freshman, a true freshman, and a redshirt sophomore that had not played a snap. Now keep in mind, not one of those guys, I don't think, took a snap the year before. So we were extremely inexperienced at the tailback position. But with that being said, I thought we gained experience, and all 3 of those guys had big moments that led to helping us win 12 football games. So we got to get to the ball of the edge. There's certain things that we got to be able to do that we were able to do in the past, and there's other things that we got to improve on. But that's the nature of everything. That's the same nature of our defense.
And secondly, transfers. Are you expecting any, Mark?
Transfers. With Jack Conklin going out, I will say this. If their senior class as it is, we'll always, we want to always try and look towards that. Maybe we've never taken a graduate transfer, but in this day and time, maybe we need a graduate transfer. So I'm putting that out there. So you can tweet that out. Okay. With Jack Conklin going out, maybe there's a graduate transfer who's an excellent player that wants to come here and play. But advertising's good.
How about guys, though, transferring from here, going and leaving?
Going and leaving. I guess there's always that possibility as we move through this. I think players want to play, and I think there's possibilities of that, but we'll see. Nobody's walked in and said they're transferring, but you never know. I'll probably be the last one to find out. I'll probably read it on Twitter.
Mark, you talked about expecting young wideouts to play and Messiah to have an opportunity to compete. The reality of your offense and how long it takes to master that, and you saw it with a guy like Aaron Burbridge, who was a highly touted guy. What's realistic for those guys, and if they do work their way in, do you have to tailor the offense to them early on, do you think?
Well, they have an advantage because they come now, first of all. So everything that they see and we implement in, first of all, they'll have an advantage of 6 or 7 months of conditioning and weight training and working, on their mentality of just being in college. Secondly, they have spring practice and all the time leading up to spring practice and all the time after spring practice to be able to learn things conceptually. So when they get to summer camp again, they're going to be seeing this for the second time. We've had freshmen play here, such as Aaron Burbidge, played a lot. Was probably our go-to guy as a freshman in 2012. Okay, McGarrett Kings played some as a true freshman. Keyshawn Martin had a big year as a true freshman, I think, in 2008, and he played all 4 years. B.J. Cunningham played as a redshirt freshman. Tony Lippett as a redshirt freshman. So we've had guys come and play early. But the difference, I think, right now is we've always had guys, the cycle is turning. If you look at who was playing for us in 2013 in this, you got 4 guys, I think, that are playing in the NFL or slotted to play in the NFL. So that cycle is turning, and now it's an opportunity for young players to come in. Due to what we recruited two wide receivers the year before, they'll be in the mix. Darryl Stewart, Felton Davis. The year before that, who did we recruit? I don't think we took one. The year before that, we took 2 guys. R.J. Shelton was a tailback, and we were trying to take Trey Kilgore maybe at that point in time as a guy that could maybe learn the position and move from quarterback. So we really hadn't recruited those guys. So that cycle and that opportunity right now is real. I think they have that caliber of ability, and so they're going to have every opportunity to get involved. And they've done that. Those things have been talked about from day one in the recruiting process.
Mark, you talked about this being the most players you've had come in early. Do you think we're going to reach a point around the country where this becomes more the norm for high school kids coming in, or does it only work in certain circumstances with specific players?
I've always tried to leave it up to our players. They've got to have a certain amount of maturity to be able to do this because they're not easing into the situation. They're coming in, and some things are hitting them right in the face. School, social issues, how they handle themselves away from home, being homesick, competing at a level where everybody's their size and their speed, okay, those type of things. So they got to adjust, but I think it gives them an opportunity here. Again, we've only had 3 do it at once, at one other time. Other than that, we've had 1. Tyreek Thompson came last year. Other programs have done it more often. So I think it's just really up to the particular individual and really their family. And what I've tried to say is the more mature, the more disciplined a person is, the better chances they have at succeeding at this.
Mark, what is Montez Sweat's status with the program?
Right now, he's in limbo. Limbo. Still part. Still part.
Coach, I wondered if you could reflect just on your approach to today. I mean, not many coaches would want to come in here and open up, answering questions about a 38-0 loss and the whole closure part. Is this something you learned from the last time you lost to Alabama? Because clearly after that, your program took a really big step forward. How do you move forward from this?
We're here today because these guys, we want to get to them, put closure on 2016. That's a part of it. I've always believed, and I've said this before, you got to take the good with the bad. People talk about us a lot, very positive. We end up number 6, but, that's going to wash away. Bottom line is we went to the Final Four. That's the bottom line. So things happen. Things happen. I think the game was much more competitive than 10. So, you got to move on. The other aspect we want to talk about is our outgoing seniors. We have 5 guys playing in the Senior Bowl, have 1 in the East-West game. We'll have 5 invites. We'll have probably 5 or 6 guys invited to the Combine. Conklin goes out, sort of a catch-22 situation. You wish him well, but you also look at that and you wish he stays, but that's part of it. You got to stay for the right reasons. You got to leave for the right reasons. So he's been a tremendous player here, tremendous ambassador for our program, and we'll always be indebted for him for that, and we wish him the best, but we need to move on, and obviously we've got to find players at that position as well. But so we've got a lot of guys involved in this press conference.
You mentioned Messiah jumping in and getting into things in the spring, so I'll ask the first quarterback competition question of 2016 with all four of those guys trying to replace Connor. How much do you expect from each of those, and how do you expect that to play out once you get going?
I think it plays out as you give people opportunities, and you see what they do with their opportunities. Certainly Tyler O'Connor and Damian Terry have played in some games and played in big game this year, and down in Columbus, which we won, played significantly in that game. Other than that, they haven't had significant reps. So you base that on practice. I think who becomes the guy here will be based on who plays well in games. And you certainly the performances leading up to the game. The work he's been impressive. We're looking forward to seeing Messiah compete, and I think it'll be interesting to watch. But certainly those other guys have a big head start in terms of the other two guys, Damian Terry and Tyler O'Connor, because of their knowledge and what they've been through. But you got to be able to deliver, and that's the bottom line.
Thanks a lot, Coach.